What's up, everybody? It's B Dollar again, and you know what? We're actually going to come back with another NXT review this week. I don't talk about NXT a lot. I did talk about it last week due to the whole TNA versus NXT invasion storyline that was going to go on, and the event they have now coming up. Listen, I know No Mercy just passed. I know they're supposed to have a special themed show for next week, so I decided to watch this show. And I got a few things to say because I am going to talk a little bit what happened to Victory Road a little, especially going into tonight's show. And now the name change. It's not even Invasion anymore. So I'll get to that in a second too. But let's kick it off. I know they showed highlights of No Mercy. They started to show off with the new NXT champion, Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks came out and he asked the people, can people do it? And the people said yes. And he talked about, winning the title from Obafemi, and he had all the chips were down, but he bet on himself, and now he is the new NXT champion. He basically, thanked everybody, and you have to bet on you. But then next thing you know, JC Jane came out, basically talked about, hey, congratulations on your win, and I still retain my title at No Mercy, but right now, we need to talk about the whole TNA thing right now. But hey, we'd be upset too if they held both of our titles and everything. Which I'll get to that in a second. Next thing you know, they sent the Pebble out there to talk about this whole TNA versus NXT thing and name the teams for both the men and women's teams. And as she was talking about, who's going to put on the best teams, next thing you know, the director of authority, Santino Morella, came out, which I think is kind of weird in a way. And I know it's a nostalgia thing when he comes back out to his WWE thing, but it's like, dude, if you work with TNA now, can you at least come out to your actual TNA theme? Like, do we still need to hear you come out to your WWE theme? And basically, he came out there and he says, you know what, I don't trust Tricky Williams to be the leader of Team TNA because he's tricky, but then again, like, he's NXT anyway. Yeah, he has the world title, but he's still NXT nonetheless. So Santino named Mike Santana as the leader of the team, as Shannon Boricua, and then he needed a team for the women, but it ended up being Kalani Jordan. Now, let me explain a few things here with Kalani Jordan, and I'm going to say how this does not make sense in a way, because listen, I watched Victory Road last Friday, okay? And listen, Ash by Elegance had to give up the Knockouts Championship due to whether an injury. I don't know what's really going on with her, but she had to relinquish the title. So, best wishes to her and everything, to whatever's going on with Ash by Elegance. So, since she had to give up the title, they end up doing a battle royale on Victory Road. And Kalani Jordan was part of that battle royale, which I thought didn't make a lot of sense. Like, why do we have an NXT person in this whole thing? Because here's the thing. TNA did a whole thing where they all mad about all of NXT taking their title belts away and all that stuff, and they mad at them and they feel like they're being taken advantage of, right? So let me get this straight. If they were really jumping these cats like last Tuesday, why the hell you got one of them on your show? And what gets me is that, okay, they do the Battle Royale, and the final two are Lei Ying Lee, which, Xia Li formerly, and Kalani Jordan. So whoever were the final two, they were going to face one-on-one later that night. And Indy Hartwell, who is the number one contender for the Knockouts Championship, was the special guest referee. And I'm thinking to myself about this match. It's like, I felt like I already knew what was going to happen. But this is where TNA's fault in all this is at Victory Road. One, you have no other woman built up well enough to actually have the Knockouts title, which is kind of crazy, but given what's going on right now. And listen, this was a last minute thing. Ash had to give up the title. She only held it for 3-4 weeks, but due to whatever's going on with her, she had to give up the title, okay? Because what gets me is like this. TNA finally got the Knockouts Championship back, NXT Heatwave, which, it still doesn't make sense in a way because they couldn't even pin JC Jane, which I like, why don't we just pin the actual champion? They had to pin Masha Slamovich, which, the Masha thing we could save for another time because there's enough going on with her right now. But, yeah. So it's like TNA finally got the title back, and now you just lose it back to it. Like, y'all was out here jumping these niggas like last Tuesday, but now y'all do this whole thing, and now NXT just took y'all belt again? That looks fucking stupid. But his thing, like I said, this is where TNA's fault in all of this. Who else was built up on the roster? And I looked at that Battle Royale. I'm like, well, damn. I feel like there was people missing out of that Battle Royale, too, when you really look at it. Hell, where the hell was, Rosemary, or I guess say Mara Sade also. I feel like there was several people, or what, didn't they just sign a whole bunch of new people in the knockouts division? Where are they at? But then again, I looked who was all in that match last Friday. A lot of them were tag teams and not really built a hell. It was Tasha Steele, so she wasn't even out there. Like, she's a former knockouts champion. How come she couldn't be out there? Now, looking at this from a different perspective here too, listen, I don't see Kalani Jordan. Listen, this is nothing really against Kalani Jordan, but this is just kind of going against TNA here because, like, who's booking this? But at the same time, she's not going to hold the title that long. She will 9 times out of 10 drop it to Indy Hartwell at Bound for Glory in the next few weeks. So in a way, I kind of understand what's going on here and why they're doing this. Because it's like, yeah, if we gave it to somebody else that's part of the roster right now, they would have just ended up losing the Indy then. Or they could at least push somebody. Because the only other person I know they're trying to build up right now as a strong heel in TNA is Danny Luna. So what if they could have just had Danny Luna win the title there and then face Indy at Bound for Glory? But I feel like they still want to build up Danny Luna as a top heel right now, which they are trying, but it just started. So it's a lot of things that you say cannot make sense here, but I do think it's very silly that why does somebody from NXT? We have nobody on the roster that's built up well enough on actual TNA television, but we got to call somebody from NXT, and y'all supposed to be doing a whole invasion storyline right now of kicking NXT's ass. So it just looks really stupid in a way. Like I said, nothing against Kalani or anything here, but just the booking of it makes no sense. Because at the end of the day, I think I said this last week, TNA is basically fighting some D-League niggas. I'm sorry, this is NXT. This ain't black and gold. That was a different story. This is literally the D-League they have to go against. And, once again, I use the word quote-unquote partnership right here looking at this. But I just think it's kind of odd in a way. And then what makes it odder is like Santino, like, well, I trust Kalani Jordan. Yes, she's the new Knockouts champion, but why are you having somebody from NXT lead the Knockouts division for TNA? Why is she leading it? I guess she's the champion now, but it makes zero sense. And then Ava talked about that the rest of the teams were gonna be picked up at the the end of the night. Which can I just say one thing too? Can we get a different general manager for this show? Like, yeah, I know Regal, they had that homecoming show that long ago, but by God, I'd rather have Regal back out there than the Pebble. I am sorry. She is not all that. You want to talk about not charisma and everything. Like, I don't know. It's like she is just, well, we know why she's there, and why they won't rid of her, okay? You know why they won't. But I'd rather have somebody else as the GM. But Santino then talked about, this is an invasion. It's more of a showdown, okay? Because, we've been working together and everything. So this show is not even called Invasion anymore, by the way, too, okay? It's not. It's not called Invasion. It's now called Showdown. And I was told this earlier today by a friend of mine. He went on to talk about, so apparently Israeli was mad about this invasion storyline. And at first I actually thought this whole thing was fake earlier today. Like, is this a real article like he was showing me? Because here's the thing. The same day that this show was supposed to take next week, that's when the Hamas attacks happened, a few years ago and everything. So I'm sitting there wondering, like, wait a minute, why are politics getting involved with a damn wrestling show for? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would an Israeli get mad at whatever WWE got going on in America? What does that really matter to them? And yet, listen, that was a horrible attack that happened like a couple years ago. That was a horrible terrorist attack. But why is WWE just kind of cowing down to this? And listen, I know everybody talks about Israel and Palestine and all that stuff, which at this point, I don't even know whose side really taking all this. Like, because I know I hear the words Free Palestine and all that stuff, or who's going against who and whose side do you really take. I know that's a, bigger thing nowadays. Like, me, at this point, I don't even really know what's going on, nor do I really care about either side. I thought this was supposed to go after a terrorist group that killed a lot of people. But listen, I know they have had a long-standing war between that goes damn near over a century, if I'm not mistaken. But why is any of this dictating what, like, wrestling is going on right now? Listen, Invasion was a pay-per-view show many years ago when the whole alliance of WCW and ECW were going against the WWF. This is a damn TV special. So I think it's just kind of weird that WWE, TNA, whoever was coming up with this show, why are we counting down to these niggas for? Like seriously. Like I said, that was a horrible attack that happened that day. But this has nothing to do with what's going on in wrestling. I don't think they need to change the name. I think it's kind of stupid that now they changed it to Showdown. Like, dude, just stick what you had going on to begin with. I'm like, once again, why are they counting down in any of these countries? Like I said, I know it's a war going on over there right now. Like somebody told me this at one point. It's like, shit, why should we get this? Like, somebody said to me one time, it's like, is this really any of our problem? Like, listen, if you have anything to do with that, hey, that's you. But like I said, me personally looking at this, I don't really kind of care or know what's really going on at this point. That's over there. This is wrestling, what we talking about right now. So why we having a war dictate what's going on in a whole different country, dictate what's going on with wrestling right now. So I think that's kind of really silly when you think about it. I thought it was fake when I heard it early in the day. I really did. But I found out that shit is actually real. So I guess it is what it is, but I think it's still pretty stupid at the same fucking time. It's like, why did we need to change the show to Showdown? Like I said, I don't, even when WWE made this show, I don't think they were even thinking about what happened over there during that terrorist attack that day. They just named the show Invasion because it was a damn WWE pay-per-view years ago. So, yeah, none of this makes sense. Like I said, it just sounds pretty stupid to really change the name of all of this. It really is. But as for the segment itself, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, I guess one thing I could say with Kalani Jordan, I guess I remember this from Victory Road, especially when Ash by Elegance came to congratulate her. I forgot they had Ash kind of mentor her when she was still in NXT, so they could have had a connection still going on there if they really wanted to keep going with that, but I had to remember that too. In the back, they had Leon Slayer, the X Division champion, and Javon Evans backstage. They was talking because they will be facing a Bound for Glory for the X Division title. Some would say this is a mirror match between both of these guys because both of them fly high as hell in the air. We know what they can do. I know some people feel like, I'm surprised you're going to like this match given, I talk about Spot Fest all the time and wrestling and stuff. But, like, the thing is this. I know it will be a Spot Fest. Okay, I know. But then again, when I talk about these spot fests, like, yeah, I've talked about every company. I know it's mostly kind of AEW I go with because it'd be spot fest that be happening for no reason. Some would say this is kind of no reason too with no build. Well, then they are probably building it now, but um, they are probably building the show now, going into Bound for Glory with this. But I know it's going to be a great match. So I'm not really mad at this match, okay? Like, it's a mirror match, really. Like, both of these guys are very similar to each other. But I guess the culling showed up then, and I guess they were going to have a tag match later on. Lash Legend went against Jada Parker. I know they're having a feud and stuff still happening. Like I said, the crowd is always going to be behind Jada Parker right now. Miss Parker. Basically, Jada Parker won. She hit the Hypnotic for the win. Good match, I will say that. Jada Parker, she's probably going to be next in line for the NXT Women's Championship at some point again, so we'll see what happens there. Ricky Starks was in the locker room. Trick Williams said he should be the co-captain and who they should pick. So, I like Javon. I don't like him that much, but, I guess they're going to have him in the team. Ricky wanted Miles Bourne, the new Randy Orton right there. Trick wanted Josh Briggs, but he says, you know what, they're going to have Briggs and Bourne face each other tonight to see who's going to be part of the team. Ethan Page came out to talk about beating Tavion Heights and now going to Dr. Wagner Jr., which I guess for that AAA Latin American Championship. I don't really know what's going on with the whole AAA thing in Ethan Page, so I don't really kind of care that much. Next thing you know, Mustafa Ali came out of the Order 4. Fans chanting welcome back. And, talked about what he's done and everything during this time. And talked about he earned his opportunity for the NXT North American Championship. Then that's true, he did. But that opportunity never came. Because let's remember, he said on this day about over 2 years ago, he was supposed to go for the North American Championship against Dominic Mysterio. But then he ended up getting released at that point, which I thought it was so out of nowhere given he was in a storyline at the time and had a match coming up. And then they just let him go. And he said he's been waiting for that title shot. He earned that title shot. So I guess he still gets that title shot. And Paige says, you want to get the whole comeback story and everything and stuff, but no, you can't just get a title shot. And he says, you know what, I didn't earn it. I politicked my way for next week. So I guess it will be Mustafa Ali versus Ethan Page for the North American Championship. So in a way, it makes sense in a way, too, going back from 2 years ago. So I guess Mustafa Ali will finally may finally get a WWE title, some type of title in WWE for once, given all the kind of setbacks you could say he had when he was on the main roster. What I guess you can go back from when Kofi Mania started, Elimination Chamber. They say he's supposed to win that, and then Money in the Bank, and then like I said, the whole North American title thing too. So kind of makes you really makes you wonder, especially what happened a couple years ago. So we'll see what happens and all that next. Um, JC Jane was talking to the locker room. I guess she wanted Jada Parker as a candidate part of the show, and Lola Vice wanted to be in it, but um, said, you know what, you got to go against Fallon Henley. I keep forgetting this redhead girl's name, Laney Reed. I don't even know what they're going on with this at this point, so they doing something with that. The Hardys had a promo since the TNA tag titles and the NXT tag titles will be on the line against Dark State. So they had promos throughout the night to see what's going to go on from there next week. Miles Bourne went against Josh Briggs. Briggs is going to use the chain to hit Miles with, but Matt Cardona showed up then, stopping him. So Miles Bourne got the win. I thought it was kind of random Cardona showed up, but I guess TNA roster was going to be there tonight. Jordan Grace was talking to Kalani Jordan how the Knockouts Championship has a lot of history and prestige and wants her to do her proud. And, talked about how her and Joe have been aligned with two companies. Well, then again, listen, Jordan Grace was a big part of TNA, but she's not in TNA anymore. She's in NXT. Joe Hendry just kind of goes to whatever show at this point. And Joe Hendry showed up, and Mike Santana said, I want you to come meet the team and everything, meet everybody. And, Jordan Grace and Hendry wonder, if they're going to be part of the Showdown show. Listen, Jordan Grace is part of NXT at this point. Joe Hendry, I'm just kind of waiting for him to leave TNA at this point to go to NXT because I have no idea what they're doing with him anymore on both shows, honestly. He's like a comedy act on NXT, and then TNA is just kind of mid-carding against Eric Young right now. So it's whatever. Fallon Henley went against Lola Vice. Lola Vice won with the spinning back fist. Not much to say from there. JC James was in the back talking to Fallon Henley. And I guess Laney Reed was the culprit at No Mercy as the hooded figure, and say that Jasmine Nix was for free taken out, saying she never belonged. Since Jasmine Nix is gone from this company, she explained why. You can go look that up. Javon Evans and Leon Slater went against the Culling. Like I said, you're going to get a lot of crazy high-flying stuff from Evans and Slater. So real crazy stuff. Leon Slater hit the 450 Swanton for the win. That's still a cool move, by the way. So Slater won, and as they celebrated, next thing you know, the TNA roster showed up, I guess, in a truck in front of the parking lot, and they all started arguing with the NXT roster in the parking lot. I noticed some people was missing. I didn't see Eric Young out there. Hell, where's Nick Nemeth? Where's the Hardys? Where's I feel like there was some people missing from TNA. I know they brought a lot of people, but I feel like there was some people from the roster that were not there. Okay, I don't know why. I feel like there was some people that were actually missing. But next thing you know, both rosters were out there, and then they had the Pebble and Santino in the ring. Starks basically picked his partners for this match next week, as Trick is part of the team, and Javon Evans and Miles Bourne. Santana announced his team, the new international champion, Frankie Kazarian, Moose, and Leon Slater. They're going to be part of Team TNA. JC Jane picked her team, which was Sol Ruka, Jada Parker, and Lola Vice. And then Kalani, which is, I don't know, this Knockouts team just feels weird in a way, too, given it's an NXT person leading it. But the Inspiration are going to be leading the team. Not leading the team, but part of the team. And Mara Sade. I don't even know who's an original right now, part of the Knockouts division. Knockouts division is not strong right now, like I said at the beginning of this video. So it is what you get. But Santana says, once we done with this, I will bring back the TNA World title back home at Bound for Glory when he defeats Trick Williams. Both teams brawl with each other then, and Shawn Michaels even came out to watch the chaos ensue. That was the ending of the show. So, I guess, like I said, the show is now called Showdown next week and not Invasion. So, I guess it is what it is. Still stupid, but like I said, this was a go-home show in a way for a TV special event. But I kind of want to talk about it, just given just the whole team thing and the title changes and why the show's not even Invasion anymore. So, yeah. Other than that, though, that's all I really got to say about NXT this week. So, yeah, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Hooded Knight 890. We out of here. We'll see you then. Hit that like button and that notification bell too. And yeah, we'll probably be back soon with whatever review is up next. I don't know what it is, but hey, we'll see what happens, okay? Other than that, I'm out of here. I'll see y'all then. Peace out.